I am Doug Friedman.
And I am Meredith Levy.
And this is Your Mental Breakdown,
the podcast. Starring us,
two licensed psychotherapists and long time friends.
Okay. We're so old is what he's saying. Thanks, Doug.
Yep. God, I can't believe we totally spaced out on thinking we were like 2 weeks apart in age and we're like a year apart in age.
Oh my God. Yeah, it is. I mean, I could see us doing that and we did it. So.
Right. Yeah. I know.
How are you? COVID good?
Mostly good. COVID good? No, you know what? It's not about COVID. I'm good. I mean, I'm removed. I'm in the mountains. I'm in the snow. It just snowed this week and it's really cool. Like the fresh snow is great. Love going out there with the dog, but I have not been sleeping well. And when you don't sleep well, it really throws you off.
So true.
And it's not, I'm not talking about like, I got a hangover. Oh man, I got a hangover. I got a bad night. Like those were gnarly. I mean, those are thing of my far distant past.
Totally.
I'm just talking like just not a good night's sleep. And sometimes I've done it where I wake up with a stiff neck because I slept on a bad angle, but
yeah,
sleep just messes you up. Like not getting it is brutal, like to get through a day. And then I've talked to clients all the time. I don't do caffeine. I don't drink caffeine. I don't have coffee or caffeinated tea to get through a day. I just kind of get through a day.
Yeah.
But a lot of clients will say, yeah, I had to have a little more coffee today. And then I couldn't sleep, the next night. And then it was brutal. And then I took a nap in the middle of the day. And then and it just throws your circadian rhythms off and it just messes you up entirely.
It totally does. I had insomnia for a little while. I think maybe it was in law school. I don't even remember. A couple of times in my life, I've had it for like a month here and there. And Jesus, I feel so badly for people, so much empathy for people that really just have it. I just remember watching the fucking clock being like, what?
Oh,
what time is it now? What time is it now? I have to get up soon. It's just the worst. But you know what I heard? You of all people should probably know this. I've heard that. Now I can't remember if it's like 3, 5 or 7 days or something, but if you go camping and you're out with no electronics, no watch, no clock, whatever, that your circadian rhythm resets.
Oh yeah. It's also why, especially when people are traveling, certainly when you're camping, you wake up when the sun comes up.
Right.
You reset to your natural surroundings.
Right.
Here, there's no curtains or shades on the windows, which is fine for me. I wake up early. You and I are both morning people.
Yeah.
So that's fine. Like, oh, the sun's coming up. Great. I used to love going for a hike when the sun was coming up. So that's
gross.
That's fine. Gross.
So early. I'm a morning person, but I'm not ridiculous.
Well, I did go through a stretch of insomnia a few years ago and got the blackout curtains and like, it was brutal. And I had it on both ends. Like I had trouble falling asleep. So it would be like 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and I hadn't fallen asleep yet. I'm like, oh man. And then I had it on the other side where if I could fall asleep, great. But then I'd wake up and it's like 3 or 4 in the morning. I'm like staring at the clock. I can't go back to sleep. And I might as well just get up now.
Yeah. I can fall asleep. I knock out so easily.
Really?
Yeah. But I don't stay asleep ever. I wake up very often throughout the night. it just is what it is. It's like one of those things where I'm like, I'm not tackling this. I have enough energy. I can't nap. I don't nap. Like, it's fine. Maybe it's a good thing. I don't need more energy. I feel like I have enough as is.
I'm curious, people out there, like I'm curious and jealous of the people that sleep just fine, can nap for any length of time, anywhere at all. I mean, I've known several people that can just take a 2-hour nap or a 20-minute nap and it makes no difference and they'll still sleep through the night just fine. And they have to wake up at 7 a.m. Great. If they can sleep till 10 a.m., fine. Their bodies can just do all of that.
I know, it's crazy. Fuck you for sleeping straight up on a plane, by the way. Anybody. You should see me try to, maybe if I'm in a window seat and I can curl up into the seat, like completely and lean on the window, maybe I can fall asleep. Maybe. But those people who just are like, I have my neck pillow, let me just knock back. I'm like, okay, well, you know what?
Oh man. Yeah, I was that way back in the music business. I would fly occasionally, and whenever I get upgraded and I think, great, I get to fly business class. This is amazing. Like the seats tilt all the way back. You get a little mimosa on the plane, and you get pampered. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
But you're further away from the window. Like at a window seat, you can't just curl up, put your knees against the seat in front of you and like get into a good position and knock off. Like there's too much space and I couldn't curl up and find a way to sleep. I almost like wanted to not get upgraded and just like keep me in coach. Like let me sleep amongst my people. Like give me that sardine feeling. I'm running, you know?
That is amazing. Okay. Well, anytime you want to switch and give me your upgrade, I'll take it.
Well, I'm not getting flown around by music people anymore. So that doesn't really happen.
You know what? I'm not flying anywhere. So
not many people are, hopefully.
Yeah.
It's still a wild, wild time out there.
Yeah, you probably, I mean, I miss you and I want you to come back here, but I don't know if you should. LA is like, I feel like it's like one of those movies where it's like dystopian, like Armageddon happened and you have to live underground. And if you go above ground and you breathe the air, you're going to die. Like you have to wear a gas mask or something. That's what I feel like it is in LA. It's fucking crazy.
I'm not in a hurry to get back to LA. I certainly miss LA. It's my place. I'm okay being on a mountain right now, away from people. No offense, people.
Yeah. And truth be told, I don't know that it would matter where I am. I'm not really going anywhere anyway. Where am I going to like,
right.
I don't even really go to the grocery store anymore. I really have groceries delivered for the most part right now. Not like I'm going out to dinner. So,
right.
Well, I guess wherever your environment looks the prettiest is nice.
Sure. There are a lot of people that I talk to that don't have a house to themselves or like in an apartment, you know, and surrounded by people. They share walls and floors and ceilings and they just can't get away from people, like people everywhere.
Yeah.
And
that's rough.
It's interesting because talking to some of those people, they're less paranoid. I don't think less cautious, but less paranoid or anxious about going out to a supermarket or going out and doing things because they live like around people all the time, especially being out on a mountain with no neighbors at all. Throw me into a grocery store right now and I'd flip out.
You're also, a mountain man. I mean, it's probably less lonely too to have the feeling of people around. I know that I feel there's something comforting about being in town, seeing people like, oh, okay. Yeah. I'm not in dystopia right now. And also please put your mask on and get away from me. Both are true.
Don't get me wrong. I love being the mountain man. I love just being up here with Beckett and a guitar and I'm good. But then I go into town and I stop at the dog food store, pet store.
Just dog food. They only sell dog food.
That's the second time I've said that. Like, yeah, I went to the dog food store. Wait, what do you call those again? Oh, pet store. That's right. I went there. I've gone there a few times now. There's a cool one here in Boulder in town. Really nice people there. And I just walk in there with Beckett and they know him, they know me, say hi. And it's like, oh, that's nice being around people in public. This is cool.
Yeah, it's a thing that maybe will happen again one day for us.
I wonder if we'll be nicer to each other for the most part when we get back to it. Because in LA, people are not always nice.
Yeah, it's not necessarily that they're mean. They're not friendly, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, that's a good, they're not very outgoing or friendly.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
My dad is the guy that if we're walking anywhere or on a hike, he first of all says howdy, always.
Yep.
Howdy. And then he'll
actually talk to them.
Yeah. He'll say, howdy, how's your day going this morning? And
he waits for the answer.
Yeah. And they're like walking by and I'm like, okay. I mean, it's great. At this point, I mean, you're stoked you get to go hiking. Here, the only time I will hike is like early in the morning on a weekday, which I'm often working. And because otherwise there's so many people and so many people don't wear masks. Like at some point I'm going to trip somebody not wearing a mask while they're hiking. Yeah. Probably a third of the people at least.
Wow.
Especially like on the weekend. I know. I'm like, what? Like, you know what? I don't want to wear this right now. Put yours on.
Yeah. Last weekend we got some snow and I went for a hike with Beckett on a trail that's a fairly popular trail out here because there's so many different offshoots you can go through. So a lot of people get there. And out here in Colorado, there are areas where in Boulder in particular, you can let your dog off leash if they're registered for that, which Beckett is. So I go out there all the time because it's great. And on a weekend, especially when there's fresh snow and powder there that you get to walk through, it's really fun and really cool. And there were a ton of people. I would say 95% of them were wearing masks, which is great. And most of the dogs are very friendly. And it's like, wow, that's great to be out in public and amongst people and all this. And I like a trend that I'm seeing of a return to decency and humanity. And I don't know if that's a function of being in Colorado in a mountain town, or if that's something that's just maybe that's where we're trending and where we're going.
That'd be cool.
I would like that. The return of decency. Speaking of the return of decency.
Great minds.
There it is. Actually, that's not a bad segue either, because the return to decency, Drew returned to his home again.
Yep.
Yeah. He just went through the holidays, as we all did, and has seen his family a little bit.
Right.
But going home this time was not a holiday.
No, sounded rough. So
yeah, you'll find out why in a minute. And getting to spend a week at home is sometimes kind of gnarly.
Yep. Sure can be.
Man. Oh man, I just flashed on, I don't have a home in LA. Could I come home and stay with one of my parents? No.
Could you?
No.
You can stay with me, Dougie.
Oh, yeah, I might. I get that back room, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you're in the back room right now.
I am. It's an office
now. You're sitting on my bed right now.
Your bed is a pink velvet couch now.
That's right. Speaking of a pink velvet, no, we already did this segue. All right. Hang in there, guys. Listen to the session. We'll be back to break it down with you in just a little bit. How was it overall being home?
Overall, it was really good. Obviously, my buddy passed away, and that was really tough. And I still haven't really processed that yet. And it's kind of throwing me into a different tangent real quick.
Go for it.
I feel like I'm really bad at confrontation because I saw his dad twice while I was home. Just didn't really go up to him and say anything. More so because I just didn't think it was the right place or the right time. But when is the right time for any of that kind of thing? And so I went back and forth on it being okay because it was my decision not to talk to him right then because I wasn't comfortable with it.
Right.
But on the flip side of that, I want to be able to break through that, be there for him, not because I don't want to do it. And then I find that in my work too. This whole thing is really just a fucking mess now. And they keep throwing more and more and more and more. And it's just like, yo, I'm so over it. And I've told him that. And now I'm just not replying. I know that's not what I should be doing, but I don't know what else to do.
I mean, what you're describing is I'm avoiding.
Yeah, right? Fully avoiding.
It's not that I don't like confrontation. It's that I'm avoiding something that I think is going to be confrontation.
Yeah.
And whether it's work asking me to do stuff and I can't do it all, or I don't know what to say. Or my friend's dad, and he just passed away. And what do I say to the dad? I don't know. And I flash on your ex when you wake up in the middle of the night with a night terror. Like, what am I going to do? What do I tell her? I don't know. And what you told me in here, when it wasn't about the confrontation, when you were just like, I don't know. I mean, what do I say? Like, I just woke up really anxious and I don't really know what's going on. I just need you to be with me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good start.
Right.
Absolutely.
And that's what it is with some of the other stuff, except we feel sometimes I need to give them something.
Yeah.
I need to give, my buddy's dad something. I need to show that I'm going to take care of him, that I'm here for him, that I'm this, and I need to get it right. What's the right thing to say?
Yeah.
Because that goes to what we're talking about right now. Like, you don't have to get it right. You just, like you said, good start. Like, we start something like, wow, I'm really sorry. I don't even know what to say, but I am here.
Yeah. It's weird because I don't wish I would have, because I still feel like I made the right decision in the time being. I think the thing that really got to me, and this is going back a couple of weeks into looking to other people's reassurance, he doesn't know what to say either. And I was like, oh, we're in the same spot. All right, cool. So that was like our common ground of like, oh, neither of us know what to do. Let's just hug it out and see what happens. But I didn't get the chance to see him. And I was trying to stay there for the funeral and kind of figure out what's going on.
Right.
They still haven't had a funeral. They still, nobody knows what happened, which is the other unknown thing for me, where I have no idea what happened. Like there's a couple of stories that have been told, and I don't know exactly what happened. And it's just hard because half of it is suicide and the other half is he had a heart attack. And the heart attack for me is a lot more peaceful because the suicide was something that me and him like talked about like a lot.
Yeah.
And I mean, he attempted like a couple of times. And so now, and I'm playing the what ifs because I have no idea what happened. I guess I'm choosing to pick that he had a heart attack and not that he committed suicide because it's a little bit easier for me.
How so?
I don't know exactly why. I just think that in my own head, I wanted to do more for him in the suicide realm. He was in law school and I understand like the pressure of life and everything that's going on with him. I guess in our last conversation, the God topic and how he was really like stepping away from the church and didn't agree with it and all of that. And so it got kind of heated. It would never got to the point where we got mad at each other. And at the end of it, I love you, bro. I'm always here for you. All that. I just wish that wasn't our very last conversation.
What do you wish your last conversation was?
I wish there wasn't a last conversation.
Exactly. There it is.
There was never like a good, that would make me feel better if I would have said this or that. It's just I wish there wasn't a last conversation. That's
the heart of it.
Yeah.
I miss my buddy. He's gone.
Yeah. And I literally haven't processed any of this yet. I don't know why. I don't know why. I was with all my boys, you know, we all talked about it and like I was good. You know, I was happy, like laughing. We were all bullshitting, playing football. I knew it was going to hit me eventually. I just don't know when. And I kind of feel like it is right now that we're talking about it. And this is like the first like best friend of mine that's passed away. You know, I've had a lot of death and a lot of like people leaving in my life, but nobody on a bro level like this.
Yeah.
I just don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Even your cousin was older.
Yeah.
This is like your age, your boy.
I've talked about him before. He was my bully. In junior high.
Yeah.
That became my best friend. So we have a lot of history and we've been through a lot together. And it's just, it's weird that he's gone. It's really weird.
Yeah. Look, grief is something that it's not just him that you've lost.
Yeah.
It's everything you've ever lost. You've said to me, like, everybody that gets close leaves, right?
And situationally, stuff like this always happens.
It happens a lot, not always. We'll get to another piece of it too, which is, especially with mom, if I had only done this, if I've only been more, if I'd only been, and before you went out there, we were talking about this where you were like, yo, at the wedding, it was like, yeah, your thing is your thing. Yeah. Like, I'm not here to save her.
Yeah. Right? And I feel like when I was back home this time, I actually like consciously thought about what I was doing. Like I wouldn't want to go hang out with people because I felt guilty of leaving my parents for the short time I was there. I was like, it's the holidays. Like, I don't know how many more days I can get. I got to be here. Well, I didn't do much. So I kind of came back on like not a depressed mind state, but a lethargic, I guess is the best way to say it. I'm like really tired. I'm exhausted. And I just got back from a vacation where I was sleeping all the time.
Right.
You know, so like that doesn't like equate to me. I felt really guilty a lot of the time when I was home. Even for the couple hours I went and played football with my boys, I was like, oh, I got to go home. I got to get home. And it was like an anxious thing.
Yeah.
And I can relate that back to my childhood where I'd get homesick at sleepovers and just be, oh, I got to go home. I got to be home. And once I get back here, I'm cool. This is home to me now.
Yeah. That idea of get back home. What was home for you?
My parents, mom and dad. Which
felt like what?
Safety. Definitely.
Theirs,
safety.
Yours?
I would say mine. Mine with like 80-20. Like definitely majority of mine. And now that I say that, it was my security knowing they were okay. I want to say that's mine, but for them.
Yeah. And with that might be, if something happens to them, I won't be okay. It's that without mom, what am I? What happens? Then I don't have that. And then I'm floating out there. We talked about this, that untethered feeling on this, right, in outer space and just free floating. And that's super scary. And for a lot of people, parents, home, they're in the same home you grew up in.
Right.
Like home feels like, okay, I've docked with the mothership. I'm good. And that idea of being apart from that, something could happen. Like, who knows? Someone could attack the mothership. But if I'm here with them and something happens, at least I'm here.
Right.
We're all here together. It's my safety. So if something happens to mom, it's still my safety.
Yeah. It gives me that same feeling of like thinking worst case possible, shit, what goes down, I can't get out of this city. I won't be able to get there. That's like a new trigger. It's a trigger.
Yeah,
definitely. Because it throws me down like a rabbit hole and I get going and it's just like, holy shit. Like, what? Like, I'm okay. Like, I'm good. What is going on?
What is going on?
I don't know. I think I'm getting older and I'm still trying to figure out my place in the world. And I think I was so accustomed to knowing my place there that I played that role really well.
Sure.
And now I'm trying to figure out my new one, which we talked about the last 6 months of like trying to figure out what that looks like. The other thing I realized while I was back home, when I usually go, it's usually like a day or two. And this was the first time I've been home since I left for more than a week.
Yeah.
And so I think the amount of time that I spent there was like, that was the reason I got so back to my old ways.
It's interesting because it was not a vacation. It was going home.
Yeah.
And there's a big difference.
Yeah.
It's the difference between driving a car and like flying a space shuttle.
Yeah.
Your navigation panel is just huge, right? There's so many knobs and buttons and switches and flips and all that. So it's a different set of things that you are responsible for, that you're in control of.
Yeah.
When you're here, it's just a car.
Right.
It still requires something, but you got that. Out there, different vehicle, right? Completely different set of skills sometimes.
Right.
And it brings some stuff up for sure. Apart from the metaphor, it's that idea of, wait, who am I? What am I doing? What are we doing? What is this? I mean, we can have an existential crisis sometimes. We flip out that way, especially if part of while I'm home, one of my friends dies.
Right.
And hanging out with your other friends and laughing and having a good time, that's compartmentalizing. So I don't just break down or freak out. It's also being present to, this moment here. Doesn't mean there isn't tragedy. It's still there too.
Yeah. And it was weird that nobody really talked about it. I've become a lot more closed off recently. And I realized that going back home.
How'd you notice that?
The best way I can think to say it is more so I used to care about anything for somebody. And now it has to be relevant to me, which I don't like. And I just don't like that. And it used to be I could sit down and listen to people talk all day long and relate to that and talk back and ask questions to the answers and have a good conversation. And now I find myself being a lot shorter. Somebody will tell me something about, oh, yeah, that's cool. And I've been smoking a lot more weed too. And I think that's like a big thing. It makes me like hazy, but like just like, okay. Like not nonchalant, not really caring, not happy, not sad, non-emotional, just kind of
That ties into what we were talking about a little while ago, that avoidant, that little detached. And when I'm detached and avoidant, there's no confrontation. There's no connection. There's no risk. There's no more loss.
Yeah.
Okay. There's also no real joy. No real sense of together. No real sense of, Sometimes we need that. I mean, there was a stretch where you weren't smoking at all. And you're like, oh man, I got clarity. This is great.
I was feeling good.
Right. We go in and out sometimes.
Right.
It's not the all or nothing type of stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, well, now I smoke weed, got the haze, here's what's happening, and the night terrors are back, and I'm just fucked. Oh, well, life sucks, right? It's not all that. It's like, I would say at the heart of this is I'm avoiding and a little detached from feeling a great sense of sadness or loss. I don't want to feel that.
Yeah.
With your buddy, that was big time, big time. Before him, because it didn't just start when he passed away. It was building. There's some disappointment, some sadness, maybe some loneliness too, because you're not that far removed from a breakup. Right. So all of that, I don't want to tap into that. It doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
So let me get busy. Oh shit, I got too busy. Let me dig into family. Oh, mom's fucked up. Okay, let me go back home. Oh, my friend passed away. Like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Now where do I go? What do I do?
Yeah, that's how I felt when I was home coming back here. I was like, okay, well, this isn't home anymore. That doesn't really feel like home yet. Where am I going? What am I doing? Who am I doing it with? It felt really lonely.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I started detaching fully, like from everything. I was just like, fuck all of this, I'm done. I don't think it's to say that I can't deal with him like passing or my mom or any of that, because I've done it before. It's just this time I got a lot more on my plate and I don't really have time to sit the way I am.
I don't have time to sit the way I am. What do you mean?
So I got back today, Thursday. I think I got back on Sunday. And since then, I think I've left my house twice. And like, that's not me. That's not what I do. It's not what I want to be doing.
Right.
And so it's just a lot more comfortable for me right now to sit in my house and play with my puppy and watch TV and go back to sleep. Because then I'm not getting hurt. I see a lot coming my way pretty soon, in the sense of like, I still don't really have a job, which is like, okay.
Right.
And it's kind of what I want.
Right.
But it still adds pressure to my day to day. Don't really have like a group down here, which I'm still looking for. And going back to church, I haven't been back to church in weeks. And I went last night. Mm-hmm. And even there, I was like, what am I doing here? I said lonely, but I don't even feel lonely. You know, I just feel like I don't want to talk to anybody.
Do you have a sense of why?
Not yet. Because I think if I could figure out why, I could start fixing it.
Nah, not about that.
No?
No.
I don't know then. I have no idea.
It's not about fixing it.
Yeah.
Right? It's not about, let me make it better. There it is. You know, and this is what we talked about when I said to you, double down instead of shut down. Mm-hmm. Move towards the thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're not ready to move towards the thing. Mm-hmm. Because that thing is scary, is really sad, is going to bring up a lot of emotion. And I don't want to go there. Mm-hmm. So I'll do other things. I'll avoid. I'll hide out. I'll take care of myself. I need to regain my strength a little bit before I take this on. Not this confrontation, but this feeling, this process.
Yeah.
You know, and some of it is about your buddy. Some of it's about your mommy. Some of it's about yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and it'll tie into a little bit of cousin, of friend, of my ex. It's just, this is my life. I mean, you're almost looking at your own Harry Potter portrait and going like, oh, wow, wait, what?
Yeah.
I mean, you've had a lot of tragedy around you.
Yeah.
And that's horrible. And we carry a piece of that forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think I've ever given myself the opportunity to carry it forever. Because like my cousin, like I shut that, I don't really even think about her that much anymore. And like it was to the point when she first passed where I would think about her every day, her anniversary, I'd make a big deal about it. Nobody else in my family would. But I'm like, hey, this is the day she passed. We got to remember. We got to do something. Let's go out to dinner. Let's be together. Let's do something.
Right.
And that kind of like phased out and phased out and phased out. And I think I did the same thing with my mom. I think for the first like couple of years, I was all in it. You know, whatever I can do to help, like, I'm here. And now it's like, man, it's your own problem. And I still care. Like I for sure still care.
Sure.
But I don't want to forget friend. Because I also haven't seen him in a year and a half. I started all of this and doing what I wanted to do and be who I wanted to be and all of that good stuff. And now it's like, well, I kind of lost a lot of stuff in the process. I gained a lot of stuff in the process, but I'm trying to figure out what really matters.
Yeah.
And going back home made me realize that people are different and it's not the same as when I left, and the relationships are different and it's just not the same. And so now I'm like in a weird middle ground where I can see the future and I can see the past, but I don't really have any of that right now. And it's like, okay, well.
So let me just sit at home.
And be.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we need to just be.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's a part of the healing process. Well, you're at an interesting place right now where it's, I don't know what I want to do. Maybe I don't want to do design. Mm-hmm. What is important? And there's nothing like a loss to kind of go, wait, what is important? Yeah. You know, what do I want to commit to? How do I want to be? I've got a bias in how I know you, in that I've seen something in you, which makes you shine. It's when you're actually authentic and able to be that and able to share that with people.
Right.
You know, it's one thing to feel it and be it. That's fantastic. Mm-hmm. But when you share it with people and you see how the response goes, oh, right, this is me. This feels good. Mm-hmm. And some of the avoidant stuff that you've been talking about, like, I didn't go talk to my buddy's dad at the gym. Right? There's something that's inauthentic. And sometimes that's not the worst thing, especially if you can recognize it and go, okay. And then, all right, maybe I'll just retreat a little bit and heal and I'll stay at home.
Yeah, I'm dipping my toe in a lot of waters. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think I revert to the same ones every time. I'm starting from a different spot now. And so now it's like I'm trying to not take that baggage. I think the frustrating thing I've been saying is like I just haven't been leaving my house. And for me right now, it's like I don't know what I want to do. Not in the sense of career or anything like that, but just in my day-to-day life.
Yeah.
And when I do leave, it's like I'll go to the gym, but it's still my building. And then I'm in workout mode, so I don't want to talk to anybody. And then I'm tired after that, so I want to go home and eat and go to sleep. And then I wake up and I'm like, what are we going to do today? And then I go to the gym and then over and over and over and over again. And it's like I just need to break out of that somehow and get into a healthy situation.
Which would be what?
People around me.
What you're talking about is connection. Mm-hmm. And I'm amazed that you hit it and you can see it so clearly. I mean, it's something you recognize about you.
Yeah.
It's something that we crave and we're starved for. And it's not, you want it to be. I think you realize it's not anymore. Your dad.
Yeah.
Is that why you were smiling?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to see him tomorrow. He's here.
Right. Which is fine. I mean, that's cool. It's a great place to start, but your dad is not your best friend.
Right.
He's your dad. You can be very friendly with him. He's still your dad.
Dad first, yep.
Your pastor is your pastor.
Mm-hmm.
Congregation is congregation. But are there people there that you actually connect with, that you can have intimate talk with, that you can have that vulnerability come out? Might be, but right now you're not tapped into much of that. Part of that is it's raw.
Mm-hmm.
You know, raw because he died. Raw because I don't know what I'm doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Still raw because I had a breakup a little while ago and my mom relapsed.
Yeah. It's been a long couple of months. It's just like, okay, this 4 months always happens every year.
Well, clockwork, man. You said.
Like, yeah, I said this back in February. But it's over now. And like, it's okay. I made it. We're good. And now it's, I just got to go heal a little bit and we'll be okay.
I remember you a couple of times saying like October, every October, right? And I've had a couple of clients go, is that why they call it the fall? Because everybody falls, like it's depressing and the leaves are dropping. And I'm like,
yeah, kind of.
Yeah, call it autumn if it feels better. It's the same thing, right? It has been a hard few months for you, you know, more so than you realize. And you've grown tremendously. It doesn't mean it's all hard and none good.
Right.
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
That's kind of what life is.
It's just more good and more bad than I've ever dealt with in my life. And so it's just, I got a full plate.
There's something to, like I said, double down, not shut down. Can we lean into this? Can I go, all right, some of these emails, hey, been really overwhelmed with the holidays. I'm getting back into it now. Almost kind of look at what's the one thing I can put in front of me right now.
Mm-hmm.
What's one thing? Because if you put 12 things in front of you, 12 emails to respond to, right, I see you shaking your head like, nope, shut down. Nope, not going to do it.
Yeah.
Smoke a little weed, take the dog around the block.
Yep. Good,
I got outside.
Mm-hmm.
Now we can chill on the couch.
Yeah. And I find myself checking off a win when I walk around the block.
Right.
But that's not a win.
But that idea is, look, it is a win. I did get out and I did something.
Yeah.
Right. And you shrug right there. It's like, yeah, but that's not enough.
It's like an asterisk. It's like an asterisk win.
Well, it's a start of something. Sometimes we got to build on very little things that we're able to do that are wins.
Yeah. Well, and you probably heard it already, but the Marine guy that talks about making his bed every morning, have you heard that speech? So he's like a Marine commander-in-chief, some bigwig.
Right.
And he's addressing like the new academy. And he was like, if I can give you any advice like throughout your entire lives, is to get up and make your bed. Because like no matter what happens in your day, you're going to remember that you did that and you won. And 2, you're going to get into a nice clean bed. And so it's like you start your day right and then you end your day right.
Right.
And that's all you need to start doing.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, like I feel that. And so I haven't been making my bed the last 2 weeks.
Right,
you know? And I did this morning and I was like, okay, this feels good. Cleaned up the apartment, got kind of back into my routine. And I saw that as a win.
Yeah. I love that. I want to just check that piece of localizing something versus globalizing something, right? Because if you localize it, like I didn't make my bed, and that's okay. If we globalize it, and we could say localize too, like I didn't make my bed, I failed this morning.
Right.
That sucked.
Right.
I'd really like to make it tomorrow. Okay. If we globalize it, we're going to go, I didn't make my bed. I fucked up. I'm a fuck up. I fuck up everything. I can't do anything right. What's the point? I can take them around the block, but who cares? It's just walking a dog. What the fuck? I'm such a loser.
Yeah.
And it permeates everything.
Yeah.
And we do that like that. It happens so fast, so easily.
And such a snowball effect too.
Absolutely.
Because one thing goes, then everything else follows.
That's the ski trails I talk about. Downhill in the snow.
Yeah.
Picking up speed, going down that way.
Yeah.
And it takes something like, oh, wait, it's not, I should have made my bed and I'm a loser because I didn't. It's, oh, I can make my bed. I like it when I make my bed. I'm going to try making my bed tomorrow or right now.
Yeah.
Like it's 3 p.m, but I'm going to make my bed. Okay.
Yeah.
What can we do when we have the realization? And sometimes it's going to be too hard.
Well, and I had the added pressure of my dad coming and seeing my spot for the first time. So I was like, okay, I want him to see me in my good, not in my disastrous. Like I'm off the floors and like I did all my shit and got it clean. And I'm excited to go home to that, not going home to clothes everywhere and a non-mop floor.
You heard me talk about the dirty dishes in the sink, right?
Yeah.
You walk by and you're going to think, fucking loser, what a junkyard, like, oh, why bother? And you just keep adding to it. And it's huge. You spend 10 minutes washing your dishes. You have just an incredible sense of accomplishment.
And I thought about you when I was doing my dishes. I had like a little pile.
Right.
And then I was like, I'll get to it later. I was like, no, let's just get this one done and see how I feel.
Right.
And, you know, I had a plate and like 2 forks and maybe a pan.
Right.
And I got that done. And then I sat down and started hanging out. I was like, okay, now I feel good. So it was a great win. It was a great
Absolutely.
win.
And that's making your bed. That's, yes, I did that and feeling that sense of accomplishment. And it's a wonderful thing. It doesn't mean you have to wash the dishes every time. It's just being aware. If I look at the snake and see a pile, if I globalize it and I start feeling like I'm a loser, I'm shit, like, wow, that's total Vaderized yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's dark. It gets really dark and it grows. It's that snowball. Then, I'm not going to shower. Who cares? What's the point? I'm not going to see anybody. I don't care what I'm wearing. I don't care how I smell. I don't care. Oh, it feels horrible. And it's tough to shake at that point.
Yeah. And I almost want to correlate this into my work real quick. I finally turned in everything I needed to turn in other than one thing. Gave him a huge box of like 100 samples. And I walked away with that one thing and being like, damn, I fucked up. And not, look what I just did over the last 2 months. This is incredible. Like, this is really fucking good.
Yeah.
It's that one thing. I should feel accomplished and proud of myself. And
you'd like to. You can.
Yeah, I'd like to. Yeah. But I just don't. I'm avoiding them right now because of this one thing.
So, okay. So let's kind of reframe.
Yeah.
Because you recognize it. I was disqualifying all the positive by focusing on a negative, catastrophizing, blowing it up, making it this whole thing. Maybe even a little mind reading, like thinking how they're going to respond or what they're going to think or what they're going to say. All right, let's bring it back and look at it objectively. Like, what can we say about what you delivered or how you delivered it? Or
it was gangster. This shit was awesome. Like, anybody in the world that sees that is like, damn, this is really good. And I know that. I know he's going to give me shit for it because he's the buyer and he has to. That's part of it. For my first time ever doing this, especially for the first time ever doing this, I did a really good job. Yeah. Really quick, too.
Fucking own that, dude.
Yeah.
Or did I not do it? Yeah. But I can get that. Okay. I can do that. Did I fuck one thing up? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, I have it done. That's the thing that's like, why don't I just send it to him? Like, it's done. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, that doesn't make sense.
It doesn't, and it does.
Yeah.
Something a 7th grade teacher said to me once on an evaluation, because I was constantly turning in papers late. They were A papers because, I'm brilliant.
Yeah,
clearly.
Hell yeah.
But I'm turning them in late and I'm getting like B's, B minuses, maybe even a C. I don't know, right? And she wrote, "Is Doug afraid of success?" Like, what? Oh. And I had to think about that a lot over the years. Because at first I was like, no, he's afraid of failure. I don't want this paper rejected. But if I wait long enough, that's the reason I got a B because I waited so long. So it doesn't matter, right? Is he afraid of success? I understood it a different way eventually as, oh, right. Because if I do well, now they're going to expect me to do well all the time. Now there's going to be an expectation. And how do I live up to that expectation? Oh, shit. One of the worst things I could have done as a musician was write a hit song. which I didn't do, by the way. Right? But I do that, then like, oh shit, now everything's got to be a hit. Oh crap, how do I outdo myself? Oh crap.
Exactly. I'm petrified of success. Because to your point, then I have to live up to it. And then there's expectation and people, I have to be that now. And when I don't want to say failing, because I'm not failing, but when I'm not living up to where I really could be, that's where I like to be. Because then there's not, like, I have room to grow. And nobody really expects too much from me.
I will tell you something that's like another one of those secret of life moments. Your greatest superpower is not your output, is not what I just delivered, is not this hit song. It is your vulnerability and authenticity. Things that some people might think are weakness is our greatest strength. Because you going, wow, I don't know if I can ever live up to this. I don't know if I can do this. Oh shit. Will create in you that sense of, so why bother trying? Why fuck it, forget it, it's too much. But if we go, wow, I'm really nervous about this. I did this great this time. I don't know how this one's going to go. So let's see. That's stronger. That's actually the courageous thing. The secret is in that authenticity, in that vulnerability. I used to like watching those America's Got Talent and The Voice and all those shows because the editors and producers are really good at like, let me give you this heartfelt story about this kid who's autistic and does this. And then you hear them and the judges would go, sir, you really nervous? You look a little nervous. Why don't you start again? You go, okay. And then they nail it with like a little crack in their voice or something. And it's that emotion. It's that imperfection that we love. It's that vulnerability that we're drawn into that makes us go, oh, you're human. I'm human. I can relate to you. Some of us totally intimidated by perfection because we think we need to reach it. I think it's because we can't connect to it. What we connect to is that vulnerability, that humanity.
I like that a lot. That was good. Because I can't connect with perfection. There's no such thing.
Striving for perfection is different. That's journey, not destination. And that's the like, yeah, I'm getting this. I got a box of stuff ready. You know what? I forgot to put in this or I didn't put in this. I'll email that to you. That's striving for perfection. Perfection is, fuck, I didn't deliver all of it at the same time in one shot. I'm a failure. I fucked up. Shit. That's and I see the smile and I see a shine. I mean, there's actually a sparkle coming back in you because it's, I mean, this is something that you can do right now. Oh yeah, wait, I can do this. And this is a version of doing the dishes and making your bed. This is tapping back into your authenticity and your vulnerability, which again is your greatest strength. I mean, I've had clients who will come back to me and go, yeah, I was saying something to my girlfriend, my buddy, and I just said, I lied to them about something. And I came right back and I said, hey, you know what? I just said some shit to you. Like, I think I was just embarrassed. But the real reason is this, or this is what's really going on. And the person they're talking to almost always goes, whoa, oh my God, thank you for telling me. Wow, really? You were embarrassed? And it's not even about having told that lie or having done that thing. It's they're connecting to that human vulnerability, that human emotion.
And I think that's what I need to get that back in my day-to-day. Definitely.
And look, dude, like we said, the last few months you were thrown. You had a lot thrown at you and it was tough. We're not done digging into some of this stuff because it's still there. But in terms of, oh, wait, how do I want to be? How can I be? How can I do this so I'm not just sitting at home with the dog all the time? And okay, I can do my version of make my bed, do the dishes, send this off, like own it. And we are back.
We sure are. Wow, that was heavy, man. Poor Drew.
Yeah, he's been through a lot in his young years.
Yeah.
One of his friends passed away fairly recently because he went back. This was going back for the memorial and back for the service.
So I guess, and he said he didn't know, they don't know how he died, either suicide or a heart attack. And I guess he's just going to go with the idea that it's a heart attack, which I totally understand. And I guess said his friend had made a couple attempts and that they had spoken a lot about suicide. I wasn't sure what he meant by that, whether his friend had spoken to him a lot about his suicidal thoughts or if it was like a mutual, and maybe a little of both, because I know that he had some suicidal, what he calls ideation. I mean,
ideology.
ideology. Right.
Right.
But either way, just super sad. You guys talked about him wishing that his last conversation, what had it been? And he said, I just wish it wasn't his last conversation.
Yeah.
Which I thought was super poignant.
Yeah. I remember when my dog Franklin passed away, I was talking to my own therapist about this, and we were, processing that, working on that. And he told me a story of someone and them saying, I just miss my conversations with my friend.
Yeah.
It's that simple. We just miss those people in our lives and our interaction with them. And as much as you can say, well, you carry them with you and they're still with you in spirit or in heart.
Yeah.
It's different. It's different than actually having them physically there, responding to you, listening to you, talking to you.
Yeah, it's totally different. So he started out by saying, he talked about confrontation and how he didn't talk to his friend's dad. He didn't want to deal with the confrontation. And I think, of course, my initial thought was like, what? That's not a confrontation. And then I guess you switched it you talked about avoidance. And I think when I thought about it, I was like, oh, it's confronting his own feelings about not wanting to talk to somebody or not, whatever it is with work, just avoidance. And just talking about it with you, he was like, oh, this is maybe the first time I'm starting to process it, and being at home with his friends and nobody talked about it, which I thought was like a little bit strange. I can definitely see not processing it and avoidance in a lot of ways. I feel like if I'm home for a memorial and we're all sitting around, maybe there would be some conversation about it, at least like surface stories, but maybe it was just too soon.
Maybe. And everybody's going to process differently on their own timeline.
Totally.
I remember a few years ago when we had my wife's memorial, there were some people that wanted it to be a celebration of her life and feel these wonderful vibes and have fond memories and really celebrate. And there were other people that wanted to wear, their dark clothing and mourn and feel the sadness. And it was a mix. And there were enough people there that whatever conversation you wanted to have with somebody, you could.
Right.
Don't ask me what it was like because I was completely underwater and
right. Of course.
I think it's for him, he might have been able, willing, ready, vulnerable enough to have a real heart to heart and soul to soul talk with somebody about it. But that wasn't there. He wasn't getting that from other people. And certainly with his friend's dad, it was bringing up for him all of these other issues of what I could have done, what I should have done. Man, it was not the right place for him to bring all that out.
100%.
All that anxiety, all that guilt, all that unknown was right there.
No, it's rough. And we all we've talked about this, processing our grief, and everyone does it very differently. And for him, and then it sounded like when he was home, and he said he hadn't been home for over a week and quite a while. So he had a lot of guilt or anxiety when he wasn't spending time with his parents. And partially you guys talked about how being home with his parents felt safe. And was it his safety or theirs? Well, it was his security knowing that they're okay and I won't be okay without them, untethered. And that idea that if something happens and I'm home, at least we're all together. And I totally can relate to that. I have that feeling.
Yeah.
A lot of times when I think about earthquakes or I don't know, something that we all have to be together.
Yeah. Something that shakes us literally or figuratively, right?
Yeah.
We're looking for stability, safety. And that's, when I say docking with the mothership, you're fine to go out and explore however you want to do it, wherever you want to do it. Sometimes as long as there's a mothership there that you can dock with. And
totally.
It's why a lot of people get really spun out when their parents sell their childhood home.
Oh, me for sure.
Like yours? Do you remember them selling it?
Yeah. When my mom sold it, oh God, my sister and I both, every blue moon will drive by, just loved that house. Such a great house.
Right.
But I get it.
Yeah. And that the sensation, I think, for a lot of people is that was the mothership. And well, if that's going to go away, you might still drive back and go, yeah, there's the mothership. But it's not, it doesn't hold that same safety and stability and comfort for you anymore. But we want that so badly. And we want it to be either our childhood home or our parents or something like that. That's our North Star. I'm really going with the space metaphors here.
I know you really are. Well, and I think also, I mean, I remember being his age, and he even said here, like, well, home isn't home anymore. And I'm not feeling yet like LA is home. And so he just felt like, what's next? Where am I? I'm lost or whatever. And I think
right.
For me, yeah, after our childhood home was gone, which I lived in my entire life, we had never lived in a different house. Yeah. So, my mom moved and had her home. And then my dad, of course, had his home. And then we're in college or in your apartments, moving around apartments. And so is it like, is that home? No, it's like not like super home, it's temporary or whatever.
Right.
And your parents have maybe turned your room into the treadmill with your clothes hanging on it or something.
Right. Right.
But yeah, it's definitely a strange sensation. And
yeah, we all look for that. We all, I think, really do want that kind of anchoring, even if we don't want to be anchored.
Right.
We want to know that we have that. And it's interesting that a lot of what I studied through schooling and what I've worked on with a lot of clients is the cliche of not quite home is where the heart is, but home is where you are. And you have to be comfortable within yourself. And that's how you can be home anywhere you go. And to some degree, I've had to walk my talk where
I was going to say,
my stuff has been in a pod in storage somewhere for the last 4 months. Like I don't have my stuff. I'm not in LA. I don't have a home. I have my dog, me, and maybe I could say, well, I've got my computer or I've got but those are all things that just, I think, are extensions of ourself somehow.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's nice to come home to a home that you want to come home to and feel good in.
Right. And whatever that is, like for me, I mean, you and I have spoken about this, like, okay, coming back to LA, like I want to be back in my neighborhood. Because that's home to me.
Right.
I don't want to be on the west side, God forbid, by the beach where
lame.
People like you live.
I know. Don't come this way, you guys. Everyone stay away. No, but so I was super shocked. Well, maybe I wasn't super shocked. He talked about he's been smoking a lot more weed recently. And I was thinking to myself, wasn't it just a few weeks ago that he was smoking a lot less weed? Like that was a thing. And by the way, of course, that can happen overnight.
Oh, sure.
But when he said I've been smoking a lot more weed lately, I was thinking, well, like how long did it go for where you were smoking a lot less and then a lot more? I thought it was definitely insightful that he could connect that to potentially like not being as clear. And for you though, to be able to say, yeah, maybe that's just what you need right now. And he was saying he doesn't leave his house that much right now and how he is just more comfortable at home with his puppy sleeping and somewhere where like nothing bad can happen. If he's not leaving his house, maybe he won't get hurt.
Right. Well, we're also seeing something really interesting to me with him. As he says, I'm a lot more closed off and I'm, smoking a lot more weed. But what I'm getting out of that as the therapist sitting there hearing this is, oh, he's really just sitting with himself more. He even said it like, I'm not going out there looking for or caring about what I can do for somebody else. I'm thinking about it needs to relate to me somehow.
Yeah.
And it's really leading to, I can see it. I'm not really pushing it right now, but I can see it coming to, well, what is important for you?
Right. Yeah. I was thinking that too when he said I'm a lot more closed off. I was like, nah, are you? Because I don't think that's actually what it is. You don't seem more closed off and you're not quote unquote regressing. And you pointed that out.
Right.
But he was saying, I'm not listening to people as much or caring as much as what they would talk about. And to your point, you're actually just focusing more on yourself, which doesn't mean you're selfish at all.
Exactly. And caring for the puppy. It's a big thing, actually, because he's able, right? And I love it for him because he's really able to channel and take that desire to do for others and do it for the puppy. Right. So he's still like staying within himself, looking at himself, being able to get more introspective, see what he needs, see what's important. And that mechanism that wants to do for others is doing for puppy.
Exactly. Yeah, which I think is great. And at some point he said, it made me laugh. He doesn't really want to talk to anyone. And you said, do you know why this is? And you said, well, if I knew, I would fix it. And I was thinking, hey, buddy, there are so many fucking things I know about myself. Like, I know why they are. And I am not, can't, don't want to, not ready to like, quote unquote, fix it, which again, I always say to people, we're not broken. Like, you're not broken. You're just struggling, or you're just, I mean, you can know exactly why something is. And half the time I'm like, I don't need to go to therapy. I know exactly what's quote unquote wrong with me, or the changes I need to make, just not happening. And you said, well, maybe you're just not ready to move towards it.
Yeah. And I even said, you know, well, maybe this is part of the healing process.
Right.
You know, and that's something that we have to allow for that to come in. And however that looks is however it looks. Sometimes we don't want to connect with certain people or in certain ways. And sometimes we crave it in other ways. And we have to look at, well, okay, well, what's that craving? Are we just trying to get a quick fix? And where he is with smoking a lot of weed and seemingly being avoidant, okay, well, that's part of the healing process. I even called it, coincidentally, because that's what I'm doing right now myself, I called it a retreat, like retreating. Okay, we can retreat and kind of find ourselves and nothing like a loss to help us figure out what's really important. And I think we're talking about the loss of a buddy of his a year ago, but what we're all experiencing now is the loss of a life that we had known forever and has been changed for 11 months.
Totally. And he said, I want to break out of this like repetitive cycle. He's like, I get up, take the dog out, go to the gym in my building, eat, sleep, do it again. And I'm thinking, fuck, that has been my life for the last 10, 11 months. Not the gym, you know, but just groundhog fucking day.
And I don't know about you guys out there, but hearing this episode being a year into this pandemic, pretty much, I'm hearing this kind of going, just wait, buddy. Wait like a month and a half. Wait a month and a half.
Right? Oh my God. So true. But then he talked about wanting to break out of it. You guys talked about craving connection with other people. And
yep. I love that, you know, when he said, I want to break out of it and be in a more healthy situation, it was like, oh, okay, what would that be? He said, people.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, oh, you're craving connection with people, but true connection. And it was, I think, highlighted by when he was home for the service, he couldn't really talk to anybody out there.
Yeah.
And even like a throwback to him saying, you know, one of your favorites, Mary, was there just aren't good people in LA, right? Like what he's looking for is connection with people that he can really open up with and be himself with. And without that, I'm just going to smoke a bunch of weed. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to focus on my puppy and close off.
Right. And he even said in this episode, I still haven't found my group of people. And he said, I went to church last night. I haven't gone in a few weeks. And even that didn't feel right. And it's interesting. It's like this cycle for him of hibernation almost with this happening. And he talked about, well, it's been a long few months and the holiday season sucks. And every year it's the same. And part of me wondered, like, does it suck though for you? Because I've been listening to you for the last few months, and it's certainly, there was so much that didn't suck for him during those times that I can see how overall, but if I were to repeat a lot of things back to him, it's like those last few months, actually, there was a lot that he was excited about and change. And even though it's hard, there was definitely a lot of positivity in him. Even the wedding was over the holidays, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's so much growth for him that when you're in it, you don't really see it or experience it that way. You don't see it being growth. You just experience the growing pains, you know, or you just kind of grit it out and kind of grind it out and get through it to a degree. And that's what therapists can do for you, is help highlight some of that for you at some point. Maybe not when you're feeling what you're feeling, because we want to validate that and see where that's coming from too. Yeah. And that's sort of what I was doing with him, is kind of validating, like, yeah, you're in that kind of retreat and you're healing. You know, those are my words for it, not the I'm closed off and I'm avoidant.
Right.
And maybe it's from that place that you realize what you really crave and what you really want, which he said, connection with people. I want people in my life. And I mean, he even was saying like a couple of his friends are just getting to the point where he can open up with them. That's huge for him, but he's been looking for it. I mean, that's why he went to church. That's why he's kind of talking to an old girlfriend. Where can I find this? Where do I have this type of connection?
So he talked about, at some point he said, yeah, I take my dog out and take him for a walk around the block and it's not a win. And you were like, no, yeah, it is. Like, and that's something I work on all the time with my clients and try to work on with myself. It's just like little steps. And they're not even necessarily little. There are days where even now with COVID, like, especially with my fucking broken toe, God forbid, like I dragged my ass. I started doing yoga the last few days because I was like, okay, I can sit in this and not be able to run or go on walks or whatever, or I can figure out something else.
Right.
And I started doing yoga and I was like, why the F did I take so long to do this? I can modify with my stupid toe. So is me doing yoga when I've done it for the last 25 years, is it a big step? Yeah, actually it was, because for the last few weeks I've just been brooding. And so even though it's a little step in that it's something I do all the time, it's a big step for me in the last few days. So it's all relative. And his story about the guy who says, just get up and make your bed every day. Loved it.
Yeah.
I make my bed every day without fail. There is something about it. It's like you said, like
same.
I get up, it starts my day well. I get in it later. When I go travel, before I leave, I make sure my car is washed, full of gas. My house is neat, like everything. So when I come home to organization and peace and like not feeling like I have a million things to do.
Yes. Oh yeah. I would get so frustrated with myself when I'd come home from a trip and I hadn't cleaned my kitchen. Like I'd thrown something together for the road, you know, whatever it was. And I come home like, oh man, it's that making your bed in the morning so that every night there's the made bed. And it's what I said, I think just last week, one of the listeners mentioned it on social media, like doing the dishes. Like what a game changer it is, I think, when you realize that when the dishes are done and clean and the sink is clear, you feel great.
Right.
And it doesn't take that much to wash your dishes.
And I loved how Drew talked about, oh, yeah, I thought of you when I was doing my dishes. Yep. And he was about to not do them and do them later. And then that awareness.
Exactly.
Oh, shit. Okay, Doug. Yeah, I'm going to do them, and felt better doing them. I was laughing so hard. I was like, if my clients think about me when they're doing their dishes, yay, whatever works.
Hell yeah. I totally dug it. The same thing with making your bed. Although when you make your bed, it's a pretty like easy, quick thing to do. You don't necessarily have a sense of accomplishment having made your bed.
Yeah.
But I can guarantee if any of you right now have a sink full of dirty dishes, if you I don't know that we have another 15 minutes left in this podcast, but if you use 15 minutes to just clean the sink out, do the dishes,
right,
you will feel fantastic.
Yeah.
And you will feel like you accomplished something, which you did.
Yeah.
And it's such a great feeling. And we so often don't do it, whatever it might be. It's so easy to not make your bed because you got up late or you don't feel great in the morning, so you don't pull it up.
Right. But there are times where I'm like running late-ish and I'm even say, oh my God, okay, you don't have time to make your bed. And I'm like, nope, I sure do. Like I just at least do something, some semblance of whatever, because I know how much better I'll feel.
Right.
And he talked about how his dad was coming and he's like, well, I have to clean because my dad's coming. Sure. And if you kept it mostly clean most of the time, you would just have to tidy up because your dad's coming. I love how he talks about mopping, by the way. Who the fuck mops? Like,
what do you do? Swiffer?
I vacuum and I Swiffer, I guess. Yeah. I mostly vacuum. I mean, yeah, it's hardwood and I have rugs, but I get it. And I think he's also going through phases, some ups and downs. And
sure.
Some point you guys talked about the generalizing and catastrophizing and the snowballing. And he said with work, he like killed it and did all this shit and he turned everything in except for one thing. And then he focuses on the one thing that he didn't do and then was able to acknowledge, actually, in reality, like, yeah, I fucking killed it. Like, I did some badass shit in the last 2 months. And for some reason, we use those unhelpful thinking styles.
Yeah, if you guys, if that sounds familiar, go look at the 10 unhelpful ways of thinking, the cognitive distortions, and you'll see those ways of thinking that are unconsciously happening. And we sometimes need to bring that to consciousness so we can actually challenge it and not snowball. Like I think he said it, it snowballs, and it snowballs positive or negative or effective or ineffective. Like it can snowball with the like, wow, I did my dishes. I feel great. Now I'm going to do this. Now I'm going to paint my walls and do, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
But it works the other way too. If you focus on the one thing you didn't turn in for work, and the one thing you didn't do, you're going to start having that frame for things and seeing all the things that didn't happen and that feel like crap.
Yes. Generalizing, catastrophizing. And you guys talked about, well, the story of your teacher and are you afraid of success? And you're like, no, I'm afraid of failure. It's like, I always tell people that, well, my parents, like now they expect me to do this. I'm like, yeah, dude, because you raised the bar, you raised their expectations. I know it sucks. Now they know you can achieve it. So they have those higher expectations. And a lot of times I tell parents like, or loved ones or whatever, like, don't do that. Chill out, because then they're going to get that negative reinforcement that their expectations are less when they're doing shittier. Right. So it's kind of like, okay, it's a dance.
Yeah. You guys have heard me talk about this before, but the baseball pitcher that would not throw his best pitches and his best stuff in the beginning of a game, he would save it for later so that he wouldn't set necessarily the expectation so high. So, if he's, he wants to have something left in the tank so he can do it differently. And I think that's something I think we can all relate to, that there's an idea that you want to excel at things that you're doing, but you also don't want to create this expectation that you now have to live up to that's going to make it so hard. And that's, I think, where perfectionism can happen for a lot of us, is we keep needing to top ourselves and show how strong we are. And I think that same pitcher or many other pitchers in baseball will have a really bad outing. They'll give up like 7 runs in the first couple innings, which is horrible, by the way.
Okay.
And if that happens, a lot of times a pitcher will come out and just go, yeah, I didn't have my best stuff today. But, and I'll get back out there in 5 days and do my work and there we go.
Yeah.
It's localized. It's not globalized that way. You just go, I didn't have my best stuff. Okay.
Yep.
It doesn't mean I'm a failure. I suck. I can never do it. I don't know what I'm even doing in this place in the first place.
Right. And one of the last things, you talked about how his greatest superpower is vulnerability and his authenticity, and that it draws people in. And it's like, oh, you're human. Cool. Like you said, the perfection, like, oh, you're not perfect. And then you said something about imperfection. And I was like, oh, what is that saying? Or that fucking song, Perfect Imperfection, Perfectly Imperfect or something like that. And that's like one of my favorite phrases, because to me, it's just about not necessarily being a hot mess, but like these are the things I love about you. Your little quirks, you're not perfect, and that's okay.
Right. And that's the old saying that perfect is the enemy of good. If we're striving for perfection and we need it to be that, then we don't leave room for just being good at something. And that's, man, I learned that as a young kid, very young kid. My mom took me to this healer guy who was awesome, getting me ready for a surgery I had to do where I was super freaked out.
Yeah. You mentioned that in the beginning.
And he was all into like crystal powers and things like that, and all the energy that it holds. I remember looking at this one crystal, I think that he wound up giving me, and I could see like there was almost like a crack in it. So it looked like it was cloudy inside.
Yeah.
I was like, this isn't perfect. I want a perfect crystal.
Ooh.
And he really made me like look at this and kind of meditate on this and really look inside the crystal. And then what made it so powerful to me and where I felt the energy was from that cloudiness inside of the crystal. That was because of the crack in it. Oh, embracing the imperfections. And that's what makes it so good.
Love it. Perfectly imperfect. All about it.
That's what being human is all about.
Yep.
not all of us can be as perfect as, well, nobody.
As us.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So let us know. Let us know your thoughts on all these different things. We touched on so much good stuff today.
So many good things, so much good stuff. And all of it coming back at you next week. And I don't know, might even talk to you on a Monday. I like our Monday things. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's good.
It's really just an excuse for us to keep talking to each other.
It is, for sure. That's how much we love each other, you guys.
If you knew how long it takes us to record one of these, you guys would be amazed because we
shoot the shit for like 3 hours before.
Right. We talk like 2 or 3 times as long. We should just record all of that and have it be the outtakes.
We should.
Just wait till we do like the bonus insider edition where they get to see video of us doing this.
Oh my God, it's going to be so good. You guys are going to be excited.
Right?
Although I guess I'll shower first. Nah.
Oof. Oh, no, wait. I did shower before this. Yeah, I'm good. We're good.
I didn't. Okay. Okay. We'll talk at you next week.
Indeed we will. Bye.
Bye.